Hi, and welcome back to End Times Prophecy News Update. This is Carrie Geren Scoggins. Today we're discussing propaganda in the media concerning the transgender craze. Children as young as 9 years old being used as tools for propaganda.
Though the World Health Organization has now stated that transgenders are 49 times higher HIV rates than that of the rest of the gay community, we've seen nothing but pro-transgender propaganda. The state of New York now recognizing 31 genders and demanding that others do as well, going as far as to violate the biblical core values ruling, the 1964 Civil Rights Act giving religion protected class status, and the First Amendment rights of the Christian churches and the Christian community at large, forcing them to refer to a man in a dress as she, violating Deuteronomy 22:5, a man shall not wear that which pertains to a woman, for such is an abomination unto God. Their legal right to adhere to biblical core values, federal Supreme Court ruling. New York state law intends to violate Christian civil rights by fining Christians tens of thousands of dollars if they refuse to refer to a man in a dress as she rather than he. This will lead to lawsuits and many appeals courts. New York state law opposes federal law. Federal law trumps state. Therefore, the state anti-discrimination laws must be forcibly nullified, and punitive damages awarded to Christians who have had their civil rights violated therein. Lawsuits for those violating separation of church and state, keeping the state out of the church, preventing Bible censorship, religious censorship, and preventing Christians from becoming political prisoners. Punitive damages in these lawsuits are now up to $150 million for civil rights violations. The separation of church and state, the state coming in to enforce a viewpoint that violates Christian religious tenets, has now moved into the schools. We've seen a lot of gay activist groups brought into the schools to teach gay propaganda, such as One in Teen and Gay Straight Alliance, bringing in speakers. Now the schools have actually tried to make it part of the curriculum in Common Core. So it's no shock to see that the gay agenda is now using children on the cover of nationally known magazines in order to preach their propaganda, trying to desensitize this next generation to their movement. The gay community is spreading disinformation that they were born gay, unsubstantiated so-called facts, so they feel no harm in using children,
Stating they feel they're already transgendered. There's no opposing viewpoint reported from macrosociologists or social psychologists, of whom would state this is a product of attempts to win parents' approval. Would it be the same if that same child re-entered their household, telling their parents that they now support the religious right Republicans? Would they still get reaffirming comments, praising them? Or would it be a backlash of condemnation? Would they swap political viewpoints and change sides of the fence, joining the opposite end of the spectrum if their parents were no longer condoning their behavior? We've seen this in many psychological tests. Where have we seen this before? Propaganda from Nazi Germany came out in the Munich newspapers during the gay identity movement early on in pre-Nazi Germany. which helped form the Nazi good speak laws, which were akin to our now overturned hate speech laws. The Obama-Pelosi hate speech law was patterned after the Nazi good speak law. Censorship on any opposing viewpoint against Islam, which was taking a foothold in pre-Nazi Germany, as well as censorship of any religious tenet opposing the gay lifestyle. Most of the Jews and Christians were arrested for violating a good speak law whenever they refused to burn their Bibles. When the all-gay Nazi brown shirts regiment showed up to their door in Nazi Germany, if they did not produce their Torah or their Bible, ready to burn scriptures stating that homosexuality was a sin, they were arrested for violating the good speak laws. The same propaganda, promoting the gay and lesbian lifestyle and what is now deemed transgendered, flooded the media in pre-Nazi Germany and early on in Hitler's administration. Prior to, of course, Adolf Hitler's conversion into Islam, discussed in Mein Kampf, and his subsequent following of Imam Hashim al-Husseini, now known as the father of modern jihad, who eventually ran 1/3 of Hitler's regiments, helping instate the concentration camps, the final solution. But going back to prior to Hitler's conversion to Islam, was his years in the occult and theosophy, the New Age movement, and neo-paganism, such as acceptance of the Norse gods, and filtered through Eastern tenets of reincarnation and evolution, spiritual evolution, that of theosophy, and his following of Savitri Devi. We don't need a new history course filtering out the Democrats' revisionist history. What America needs is a non-censored media. Leading me to my next point, something Pastor Paul Begley has brought up. We have more in the NSA speaking out, bringing to light that on our taxpayer money, the National Security Agency has been hiding in the back all of the religious right Republican webcasts, as well as what they consider non-mainstream media. In other words, non-Democrat, and that is not pro-homosexual, filtered out and censored from the mainstream population on our taxpayer money, violating their First Amendment rights and the freedom of the press. The biblical core values ruling, stating in the federal Supreme Court our legal right to adhere to biblical core values, citing Romans chapter 1 and scriptures on homosexuality specifically, and of course the hate speech laws being overturned, preventing this from becoming the Nazi good speak laws, where there would be political and religious prisoners. The federal Supreme Court then upheld our legal right to debate the issues, such as homosexuality, Islam, abortion, and any biblical viewpoint. So, remember this whenever you're discussing with your children what's going on in the popular culture, where the media has left out purposefully that the American Medical Association stated in the federal Supreme Court that there's never been found a gay gene to date. And the gay geneticist Dean Hammer from back in the 80s indeed did not find a gay gene. He found a disease gene. That there was never a clump of genes found that create a homosexual, nor were there found to be any epigenetic markers cutting on a gay gene. There's far far more evidence to prove that they were not born gay. And that this is more political propaganda from the extreme left, who has gained control over our mainstream media and over our federal agencies, squandering $100 billion in each federal law enforcement agency last year in needless surveillance, which included political censorship and harassment of those that opposed the Liberal Democratic Party viewpoint of keeping abortion and gay marriage legal. Political protests from the Christians is the next step. Step up for your rights, get ready to start boycotting, and get ready to start demanding that the federal Supreme Court ruling that they're held to a higher standard is enforced, and that federal officers are arrested and charged with abuse of a public office and sued for violating Christian civil rights. The federal Supreme Court rulings of biblical core values, as well as our legal right to debate the issue upheld when the hate speech law was overturned, the 1964 Civil Rights Act giving Christians protected class status under the law. Christianity is a protected class by law. Step in and step up for your rights. Teaching your children the full uncensored Bible, protected by the biblical core values ruling. And remembering teaching your children Deuteronomy 22:5. A man shall not wear that which pertains to a woman, for such is an abomination unto God. Your legal right to teach your children and to preach and teach from the pulpit openly and publicly a full uncensored Bible, protected by the biblical core values ruling and the federal Supreme Court ruling of our legal right to proselytize, where it was cited. A full uncensored Bible, including scriptures on homosexuality, that of Romans chapter 1. Because indeed, they did not win a freedom from religion. This has been another End Times Prophecy News Update. Carrie Geren Scoggins, reminding you that there is no freedom from religion. Thank you for watching.